F1 this week heads to the Austrian mountains, the home of the Red Bull Ring, where the top three has an air of unpredictability and weather could really wreak havoc with the pecking order for the weekend. And with the sheer number of deleted laps in qualifying totaling 29 and multiple race penalties awarded for track limits, I welcome you all to the Austrian Grand Prix. The Red Bull Ring is comprised of 3 long straights along with a very high speed middle sector, so it's imperative that you get the balance right between the two differing sections around the circuit. For this particular track you do need a lot of downforce for the middle sector, but not too much as to leave you as a sitting duck across the 3 DRS detection zones across the track. And so you need to find a compromise between a medium to high downforce level as well as drag. And we can't forget that this is one of those tracks on which a driver can make a difference between going out in Q1 or ending up into Q3. Track limits around the Red Bull Ring are always perilous, particularly given the vast number of deleted lap times that were dished out across the weekend last season. And to deter drivers from venturing out there, they have now installed gravel traps on the exit of the last 2 corners. So the risk and reward is of an even greater importance now. And one other thing that can always catch a driver out around this circuit is the fact that since this is in such an open area of space, any sort of gust of wind that can catch a driver out is more than likely going to put them in a barrier and end up wrecking their weekend. So it's always a perilous Formula 1 weekend. But enough about the track layout. Let's now talk about my predictions for the entire weekend. And we're going to split this up into a couple different categories. So best teams, worst teams, and then my top 3 qualifying and race predictions. So overall, I think McLaren are going to be the team to beat this weekend, and in particular the combo of Lando with the MCL38. Now, of course, Lando has had an exceptional run over the years at this particular track. It's where he took his first ever podium in F1, and also he's just generally got this real natural feel for this circuit. Even if, say, the McLaren cars he's driven in the past haven't necessarily been that competitive, when they've rocked up at this track, the combination of the two has seemed to just kick into overdrive, and Lando's always gone well. And I expect with this current MCL38 package and Lando to exceedingly do fantastic things this weekend. I think we're going to look at a pole and win for Lando Norris this weekend. I think the track layout plays much more into the hands of the MCL38 than, say, last time out in Spain. I think that was a lot more to do with a driver and team input on a race day situation. Whereas here, I think that MCL38 and the characteristics of it being super strong in high speed sections and having hardly any of a drag penalty now that they've sorted that particular issue out, I think they're going to excel over the race distance. Particularly so when you consider once Norris gets into clean air across the last couple of races, he's been able to close whatever gap he's left himself with when it comes to chasing down the race leaders, for example. We saw it in Canada and we saw it last time in Barcelona. Up next, of course, you're going to have the likes of the Red Bulls. They're going to be there or thereabouts with Max Verstappen, and I expect a close battle between the two of them. I would actually say Ferrari will be the next best placed team here. I think the car is going to be a little bit more suited for this track. Even though there are some long high speed corner radiuses here in the middle sector, they're not nearly as many as there was last time out in Barcelona. And I think all the other kind of speed range corners that we have around the track, they don't have that kind of penalty or weakness. And that's, of course, as long as they get the setup completely in the sweet spot for this weekend. Teams which I expect to struggle. I think Aston Martin are going to have another standout miserable weekend, although I hate to say it. I think their car's just not in any sort of shape currently. I think they're going through major struggles with trying to find the right setup for the current package that they have on the AMR 24, and I expect them to struggle to get out of Q2, and maybe, depending on how well all the other cars are performing, Q1 might be a bit of a elimination period for them. Away from all of that, I think the RB team are going to be in for another difficult weekend. I think that new upgrade package they introduced just doesn't seem to work, and they haven't got it into the sweet spot, much like how the Imola package for Aston Martin has done the same to them. Now, I think a dark horse for the weekend will be that of the Haas team, particularly with Nico Hülkenberg. He would be my one to watch for the weekend. I don't know why I think that, but I think he always seems to have good races around here, and I think the nature of the circuit is going to play into the hands of the Haas car. Now, as for my top 3 predictions in the main qualifying and race, I'm not going to be speaking about the sprint races and qualifying. I think we're going to have a top 3 of Lando Norris, followed closely behind by Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. And then I think for the race, we're going to have an interesting situation play out where Lewis Hamilton comes into contention for the final step on the podium. I think their overall race pace is going to be that little bit better than that of the Ferrari. And although Ferrari pipped them in qualifying, I do expect for Mercedes to leapfrog them in the race due to their superior strategy, because Ferrari seem to just be going around in circles as they somewhat kind of do at this point in their season. Alright guys, that's my predictions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, and I will see you all in another Formula 1 video.